Center for Housing Studies. What do we got? What was it? Institute for Housing Studies to talk about their work and some new stuff they've come up with, specifically some data sets surrounding the topic. And then I'm going to go around with more water. Who wants water? Raise your hand. I'll be over back. There you go. Well, hook it up. Come on, Tawa, I got you.
Gracias, señor.
So this is something completely different. Good. Well, hello. We're very excited to introduce ourselves to the open government community. Many thanks to Dan and to Joe, everyone, for having us here. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So my name is Fassett. I'm the Policy and Communications Associate at the Institute for Housing Study. I want to really quickly point out our Executive Director, Jeff Smith, in the back. Our Research and Data Analyst, Dave McGowan, right over here on this side. After the presentation tonight, after everything's done, if you want to seek any of us out, please feel free to. You can also find all of our emails on our website at housingstudies.org. So the Institute for Housing Studies is based at DePaul University, and our mission is to provide information to inform housing policy discussions and decisions, and we do this by providing reliable, timely, and impartial data and research to a variety of community-based organizations, to housing practitioners, and to government agencies. And tonight what I'll be doing is quickly overviewing what data we collect, how we improve it for our analysis, and why we developed a set of housing market indicators and put them on a data portal. And I'm going to give a few examples of how you might use these indicators and how practitioners might use them to better understand local housing markets, and how you might use them to better understand other public data sets. So, as our name suggests, we study housing and housing markets, and we do this to what we do is we collect this data to analyze trends in a housing market, both at a granular level, and at a regional level. I'm going to limit my talk tonight to just the data that we collect for Cook County. So the data that you see at the top of this list, we connect to a county-wide parcel-level data file from the Cook County Assessor's Office, and we use this to connect administrative data, which is at the top of the list, to specific parcels and buildings, and this allows us to see the transaction history of a building over time, and that allows us to connect those transactions to the building's characteristics. The data sets at the bottom of the screen give us more information about the neighborhoods that we're looking at. So our data comes from a variety of sources. It comes from government offices and private data collectors, and we also collect some data from public online sources that you can access, like American Fact Finder and HUD. All of this data eventually makes its way into our data clearinghouse, and this is the foundation of our research. An important part of connecting our research to practitioners has been the development of this very large set of housing market indicators. And this gives the practitioners who use our data and ourselves kind of a way to measure and think about the condition of a local housing market. So forgive me for my use of notes. It's a lot of information to convey. So a large part of our work is improving this data before we use it for analysis and before it's added to our data clearinghouse. Before we look at trends over time and before we use this data to inform policy, we need to make sure that it's complete and that it's accurate. And so the list of steps you see at the top are things that we do to ensure accuracy. And then once these things are done, we connect these data sets to the parcels, as I was mentioning before, but we also connect these data sets to each other via unique identifiers. And what this does is yield new data sets. So for instance, in order to figure out how many properties in Cook County are purchased with cash, we have to combine property sales data with mortgage recordings data. And it was in part through this process that we developed these housing market indicators. And in order to connect that work with the practitioners who use our data, we wanted an easy way for them to access it, and so we put them available on this data portal that we launched in May. But before I get into the data portal, I want to quickly talk about the housing markets and what we mean, about the housing market indicators and what we mean when we talk about those. So there's a set of 16 indicators currently available on our data portal, and they're meant to speak to various levels of housing market stability and show how those housing markets change over time. They're intended to allow for comparison across similar geographies, and many of them are actually made to compare across disparate geographies. And the way that they do this is they control for density by looking at shares of activity in a set number of parcels in a given area. Many of the indicators are particularly useful for better understanding the legacy of the foreclosure and the housing crisis in Chicago's most distressed communities. So I've listed a few examples at the bottom of this slide. I'm not sure if you can read them, but I'm not going to go into the indicators exactly. I want to show you how you can learn about them on our data set, or how you could get more training from us if you're in an organization that would be interested in that, and then move on to show you just a couple examples of how you can use them. So what you see here is the landing page for our data portal. The portal is organized into 5 data sets, and each one of these squares on our page connects to another page that gives you a lot of information about the indicators or subtypes for that data set. And you can go and find this information on our website, but if you're part of an organization that you feel like would benefit from more in-depth training about how to use the portal and how to use the indicators, you should please feel free to contact me or any of my colleagues tonight or at any time. So all of our indicators are aggregated, and they're available at multiple Cook County geographies. Several of them are broken out by the 4 main residential property types in Cook County, which are listed here, and all of them are searchable and sortable on the screen and can be downloaded as a CSV file in a link on the corner of the page of the data portal. We've included on the portal itself a lot of rollovers with links to reference maps for each geography and back to those information pages that I mentioned before. So if while you're in the middle of looking, you kind of don't know which ward you want or have forgotten kind of what you're looking at, you can always link back to those and find out. And so to wrap up tonight, I'm just going to go through 3 really quick examples of the 3 of the indicators and how they might be used.